We're live. We're live. We're live.
I think so.
We're live.
We're good.
Sort of. We're late, everybody. We're late.
So sorry.
Sorry.
We're late. Don't you dare take the blame.
It's not Ryan's fault at all.
Ryan's
Not
fault.
at all. Not my fault at all. I don't know what happened.
We're always on time. No, we're never on time.
Straight up lie.
There's the official announcement. So, welcome to Art Pizza, the podcast where we give tips and tricks to artists of all. I always want to say all ages, but Ed's too blue to be all ages.
Too
To
blue.
artists of all experience levels. I am Brian Manning, or Tag Champ Brian.
And I am Edward Freyna or Edward Draw Stuff.
Hey, I'm Jershon Time.
I'm Elisa, aka Rerax.
Yay. And today we have a special guest joining us. You want to announce? Yeah.
I am Ryan Bowlin.
Yay!
Very nice to meet you.
We were talking about him last week on the actual podcast, right? That wasn't after hours.
I think we mentioned Ryan. And it was like, hey, that's a great idea. Let's bring
Yeah.
Ryan on.
I've
I
actually
I
listened a
apologize
couple
for
times.
all that trash talking last week about you.
It's all good.
Oh wait, that was the after hour stuff. Oh, I just
No, it's really nice to be on here with you guys. So I appreciate you.
Oh, welcome.
we're
Let
big
me
fans. We're big fans.
Oh gosh,
Thanks for taking
I'm
the time.
big.
Oh, yeah.
I'm big fans of y'all stuff for sure too. Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
You
been
were the-
following you from a distance for so
go-to.
long. Well, I lived in Vegas. Ed and I's path never really crossed when I was living there. I was there for like 3 years and then moved to Chicago. But it's like we became friends like after the fact, like after I had like left and everything. So
Okay, so you were at WMS in Vegas. You were in Vegas when you worked there, or
yeah.
so you worked out of that Vegas studio?
Yes, I
Wow.
was hired. Gosh.
Oh, and I feel like I probably did meet him in person, and I'm a jerk because I don't remember.
Oh,
Ryan,
It's okay.
You are incorrigible.
Wait, what year? I left in
Oh, don't ask me math.
2011.
Okay, so
2011 is when I left.
let's see.
Or I
I've
should
been
say I
working-
was booted.
I've been working in St. Louis since I'm in St. Louis now, but I've been here for like 9 years now, almost 10 years.
oh, wow.
And so, which is nuts to kind of think about, right?
Yeah.
And then I was only in Chicago for like 2 years, and so that was 12. So maybe like 12 years ago, I was in Vegas.
So he was in Vegas when I was with the company, and I feel like now I'm the jerk because I probably don't remember actually meeting him.
I think I was already.
incriminating yourself.
I think I was already tattooing at that time, so I probably left around maybe right before Ryan got there. But I think
Yeah.
we did run into each other at a G2E.
yeah,
one time.
you walked up and you're like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "Oh my
I-
gosh!" And I knew of you through like Matt Sattel and
Right.
Oscar and yeah, all those guys.
I'm just that kind of guy. Just hi. How are you?
Just heavy breathing,
totally
standing
okay.
next to people, making them uncomfortable.
Just like trying to
Nah.
get your scent.
Whatever.
Your art
No,
Your
Yes.
art
you don't. You don't really realize like how small the industry really is until
Right.
Yeah, until you go to G2.
you work. Yeah, you go to G2E and all of a sudden you start running into people,
Yeah.
but it's so small. And I mean, I never thought that I was even like the way that I got into slots was completely random. Like I was in video games before that, and just lost my job and was already in Vegas and just basically like was looking for a job, and somebody I knew that went to Art Center was like, "Hey, this guy keeps reaching out to me, and I have no desire to make slot games, but I know you're stuck in Vegas. Would you want to do it?" And so I was like, "Yeah, let's. I mean, I had nothing. I was just me and my wife, and I was like, "Yeah, let's seek this out," and ended up being something I did for like a really long time.
There you go. Well, that's cool.
But it's like it's kind of like I think that people outside of the industry maybe don't know that like they treat us pretty good in slots,
Right,
Like
yeah.
I would say
'Cause
so.
you get pretty comfy.
I came from video games as well, and that was the industry everyone in high school wanted to be in. So
Right.
everyone was gunning for your job. You go to
Yeah.
slots and everyone's like, I ain't drawing cherries and bells. I'm like, oh, good, my job's safe. My job's safe.
Yes. Oh
And
yeah.
it pays
Well, I was
more.
in and out.
It pays more to draw cherries and
I
bells.
w- I was in and out a few times at video game companies like early on, and so when I found slots, I was like, "Oh wow, like a stable
Stability,
job. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have to jump ship every year or two. Like that's pretty awesome."
It's not feast or famine like the video game industry.
Right, exactly.
Right. Yeah, because I was working in animation in LA, and like every time a job ended, we had to find a new job. It's like
It's
because
rough.
like shows were only lasted so long, so once you're off that project,
Mhm.
you either came in with someone else or you're just looking. And,
Basically, like a production crew for a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's similar. Yeah.
and like
I mean, video games is a much longer production, I believe, right? Like closer to 5 years.
Depends on the game. I mean, I do now still, but even the last 9 years I was with Playtika, we were working on those mobile slot games apps, and
Right.
so even that, I mean, that place you would turn stuff around. Like when I first started working there, we were turning games around within 2 to 3 weeks, which is nuts.
That
Oh,
is
that's
so
just-
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was really nuts. Yeah, it was not fun. Whereas like in land-based casino games, it's the process a lot slower.
Yeah, it's closer to like 18 months to. I mean, I guess 9 months working on the game, but 18 months till it's on the floor, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are probably like, "What's slots?"
Sorry.
No,
We
you're
make
fine.
the games that took your money. We were out for
Exactly.
your
I always
money.
tell people grandmas love me. Like it's like every
Flex
time you go to like you meet somebody's mom and they're like, "Oh, my granny, she loves to play at the casino," and it's like, "Oh yeah, well," and then they think you're like a superstar because
Yeah.
Grandma,
Yeah.
Grandma loves my games.
Yeah,
yeah,
when they find out you work on a Buffalo game or something, you're like a
Right.
rock star status with a granny. You know?
yeah.
Hey, Brittany's here. What's happening, Brittany?
Hey,
Oh,
Hey.
Brittany.
She made it.
didn't
Hello.
want to be on the show though. Just
But to be honest, that's a different story. So yeah, I mean, why don't you like kind of give us a little bit about your background, like your humble beginnings as an artist?
Sure. Well, actually, I was one of those kids that always kind of drew. But then I'm from the St. Louis, Missouri area, the Midwest. There's not a lot of great opportunities for artists out here, truthfully.
Right.
And so it was always one of those things where people kind of discouraged it a little bit, just because they weren't sure how I was going to
We'll be alive.
earn a living.
That mostly
Yeah.
like family and stuff. Or,
Yeah, I mean, my mom and dad were pretty supportive, but they were also like, have like a backup
Yep.
plan.
Maybe engineer.
Maybe
maybe
you should teach.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But I was like, I had like a bunch of different majors before I finally was like, you know what, I'm going to go to the community college and just take some art classes, and pursue what I think that I would enjoy doing. And I really fell in love with it, and just basically just took like traditional art education, a drawing major. And I was like, well, I don't know if you all remember, but there was a website back around that time called conceptart.org.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I was I was real big into all that, and I would go to the workshops, the massive black workshops, and all that stuff. And
Oh, look at you.
like,
Legit training.
I know.
I don't know if it was training, but it was a nice community. You got to meet a lot of really cool artists and stuff, doing all that stuff. And so, anyways, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought maybe children's illustration, and I think maybe children's illustration is something that I'd be interested in doing, but I didn't really know. I didn't feel good enough or whatever, and so I thought, well, maybe I'll do concept art or something, and then you'll have to draw everything, and then I'll get better, and then I'll learn how to do all this stuff. And so I lucked into an internship at a small video game company in St. Louis. They were working on an MMORPG, and I worked there for about 3 years, and then the economy dropped and the funding for the game fell apart, and then set me packing and looking for another job. And then that's how I ended up in Vegas, working as a concept artist for another small company making their own version of World of Warcraft. That's what everybody wanted to make at that time, basically. It's like they wanted an MMO.
Are they?
And
they're not around anymore, right?
No, it was one of those things where I showed up to work one day, and I'd been working there about a year, and it was really heartbreaking actually because I had they had taken all the work that we had done, and we just showed up. There was a sign on the door that was like, "Peace out, we're closed. Come get
Oh,
your personal
Oh.
belongings."
it's so wrong.
And so that sucked. I didn't have anything to show for it because we didn't have any all my digital files were on the work computer, so all I had were random printouts that I'd take home to show my family in St. Louis and stuff.
Oh
And so it
man.
was kind of
Sucks.
it was a bummer.
They're like, you're
But,
not really an artist. Give us proof, and you're just like, here's
Yeah.
a here's a Xerox.
He has to get it laminated too, because how many people have to do this thing?
So you pour yourself into designing a world and all that stuff, and then it was kind of deflating. And so then I was stuck in Vegas and got that call at WMS, and I was like, I don't know anything about slot games at all. I'll give it a shot. And so then I did that for a while. Worked in casino games I worked at WMS for about 5 years, I would say, more or less.
Okay.
And then I ended up doing mobile games, and now I'm at Blizzard Entertainment I've been there for the last
Bravo.
9 months.
He made it. Everyone.
You made it.
You made it. You made it out.
He escaped
Yep.
the black hole of
I made it
slot
out.
Tell us about the audition tape. What was the mixtape you had to send Blizzard that they signed you on?
Oh man. Well, honestly, to be completely honest with you, one, I'm sorry about my drawings. There's no pressure sensitivity happening for whatever I'm doing. I don't know what's going on, and it's making me sad when I'm trying to draw. But
Don't worry about it.
Oh, man.
We're having fun.
anyways, yeah, it was really weird. Like we were talking about, working in casino games. You get pretty spoiled and comfortable, I would say, and so you kind of have to find, like you guys are doing. You try to find ways to, meet other artists and do cool stuff that's not just like a pharaoh or another Asian baby game.
So many Asian babies.
So many Asian
Yeah.
baby games. Yeah.
Dragons, gold coin.
Dragons, yeah, it gets to be a little much. And so but at the same time, it's I don't know, I have a family, I have a wife and 2 kids, and it's pretty nice to be able to pay the bills and not have to worry about all that. And so I was pretty comfy, but I watched the industry is becoming more photorealistic in terms of video games. And so I always felt I don't know that I want to work on an Uncharted or something.
Yeah.
I don't want to photo bash concepts. That didn't seem interesting to me, and I don't want to I want to draw goofy stuff. And I always told I'm a big fan of Hearthstone, the game, just playing it. And I thought, if I was ever to work on something, it would be that. And that was kind of in my head, I thought, I'd like to do that. And so I had this idea, which was odd, that I started developing this personal project in my sketchbook a year and a half ago that I hadn't really shown anybody any of it, and but it was basically building to a portfolio to apply to try and get a role on Blizzard on the Hearthstone team.
He manifested it. Look at
Yeah.
that.
It was really crazy, and so
Follow your dream.
I didn't notice, but basically what happened was I did one illustration for fun. The one that you shared today
really?
to promote the podcast. I shared it, and this is how this industry works, and this is how this is why it's really good to meet people and to talk and to get to know one another, because you meet contacts. And it's I had worked with a 3D artist at WMS who is now an art manager at Blizzard. I had no idea.
Oh wow.
And she saw the illustration, and she's like, I didn't know you liked Hearthstone. This is super rad. And I was like, yeah, I do.
Oh, are you talking about
And-
Satnam?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, she's my boss
Oh,
now.
that's cool.
And so basically she's like, well, we got these, if you're interested. And part of me was kind of not sure, because it's not just a production role. It's more of a management role, an art directing role, where I'm basically in the role that I'm in now, I basically art direct the cards, the card art, the illustration. So if you
That's
were
really cool.
Cool.
So it's kind of different. I'm still doing some, I'm working on my own Hearthstone cards and stuff, which is cool. But for the most part, it's a lot of management. So I wasn't sure if that's what I really wanted to do, but I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. And so that's basically how I got my foot in the door. And then it was a 4-month-long interview process.
4 months long.
4 months.
Oh, dude,
I
it was.
hear it's crazy long. Just the whole,
It's brutal. Yeah, it is. It's pretty insane.
Like, what do they have
and-
you go through?
Gladiator fights.
That's what I'm picturing in my mind.
And they
A
ask if
gauntlet.
you're like Horde or Alliance and all that, right?
Do they really?
They never
Oh, they
asked me
didn't?
that.
Okay.
No.
Maybe because you're working on Hearthstone. Maybe.
If you weren't willing
Well, I
to
mean,
yell
we-
for the Horde in public, you're out.
Well, it's funny, you know. I feel like, you know, talking to you guys, I feel like among like my people, since you guys all work on stuff that like I'm super familiar with, and so you know, it's I was telling my wife, I was like, I have to kind of be careful about what I say in public about like Hearthstone and Blizzard and all. Like nobody ever cared about anything I did before,
Right.
so I have to like watch what I say. Or else they'll come after it, because they actually give us like powwows about it. Like on our meetings, they're like, "Hey, just make sure you don't say this. Make sure," like they'll randomly like, you know, give us like updates about like what we should and shouldn't do and stuff.
Okay.
It was crazy. I think a
But-
couple months ago, like someone that works there, like posted on Twitter that you guys were going back to the office and stuff, and like actually posted
Yes.
the email. I'm like, oh, that's bad form.
Yes. You're if yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't have
There's
to
so
talk
many things
about
I
it.
could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I will say it. How do I say it? It's interesting. It's very interesting working for a company where, I mean, also with like, I don't know, like a public facing company, like where you're in the news all the time.
Oh,
It's really
right.
it kind of stresses you out a little bit.
Right.
It's kind of a strange thing. But in terms of like the interview process and everything, basically all what they had me do was sorry, I'm trying to figure out these layers. I should have played with this program before I got in here.
Oh, we're still
started
struggling
drawing with
too.
y'all.
We're all
Yeah.
like, how
It's
do you
not-
deselect?
Yeah. It's not the easiest
Live
thing
on
to
air.
use.
It isn't. I'm like, why is it all of a sudden my opacity is low? I don't know what's
I
happening.
bet you if you buy the subscription, they probably make it super easy.
It's difficult on purpose by design.
Yeah, I have no idea why it's being that way. Now it's all faded. Anyways, I'll just talk.
That's fine. That's what Brian does.
That's what I
normally.
do. That's yeah. I usually don't.
Oh, I wanted to draw with y'all because you always do such cool stuff. But basically, how it worked was we had like an initial like interview, and I interviewed with Satnam Kaur and a veteran illustrator who's super awesome, who I work really closely with, named Jim Nelson, who's worked on like Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, like, you know. So I was geeking out about all the stuff that these guys have done, and so we did the interview with him, and that went well. And then there was like another like a full afternoon of interviews with like all these people on the team.
Wow.
And so I had like 3 interviews, and there were like 2 people in each of those interviews, and each of those went like an hour each. And so I had to like take an afternoon off and basically like run the gauntlet. I was so nervous and scared.
Wow.
So but it was cool because the cool part for me was like, you know, I knew all these artists because I'd followed their work, and even now, like I geek out, like, you know, I work with like Max Grecki.
Oh, that's
What?
and like
Is he
Yeah,
is he like an actual employee, or is he just like outsourced?
Max,
that's all
Because
Yeah,
I
they're
know
all
he,
contracted.
So
contractors.
he's
Yeah,
he's an actual person.
he's a
He
real
is.
person.
exists.
I thought
He's
he
not an
was
AI.
He's not a,
he's a real
he's
boy.
not a demigod. Holy crap!
He's not. No, that's the crazy thing. Yeah, there's like so many of these artists that I've
They're
followed
just
for so
like
long,
us.
and now
No, they're not.
they are. They
I
totally
refuse to
are.
believe that.
No, they're not.
They totally are. Yeah. So,
That's fun.
but then I did that interview process, and then I had an additional like, you know, hour-long interview after that whole process as well. And then I waited for like 2 months, and then eventually found out that I was gonna. So, but it was a long
cool.
process. Yeah.
It had to have been a
Amazing.
relief though, getting that call, right? Getting that,
Yeah.
or that,
Yeah,
that impersonal email. I don't know how they let you know.
Well, the cool thing about knowing somebody is she was sort of, you know, she was very like fair and everything, but she would, you know, I could talk with her and kind of say, hey, like, you know, how are things going? Are you getting
Right,
closer
right,
to
right. Yeah.
anything or whatever? And so that helps a lot. But yeah,
Very
I'm
cool.
really frustrated that I have no pressure sensitivity. I feel like I'm,
Yeah.
It's all good. So how long have you been over there now? Has it been like a year?
Yeah.
or-
It'll be a year in September, so I've got a little bit more time before that's the
Nice.
case.
Do you
Um,
miss casino gaming? That's the big question. Do you
What
miss
kind
it?
of
Notice
silly ass
how high
question?
it went up like 3 octaves.
Sure.
Hey man, I'm not gonna knock it. I mean, honestly, like at Playtika, we had a lot of creative freedom because we weren't working with IPs, and so I was just creating the most random. Some games were like on target, but a lot of times they would kind of let me do whatever I wanted to within like a box, right? Like within like a
that's
certain.
cool.
Right.
And so we had opportunities to explore and stuff, and so it's part of me kind of like, I'm not. I was a lead artist there, and so I would help with art, but then I would also have my own projects that were all my projects, and I do kind of miss like having,
Have like more
know.
ownership, perhaps, of like a project.
Yeah, I mean, I have it with like, of course, I get to do my cards
Mhm.
or whatever, and that's fine. But I don't have as much time to do it.
Oh.
I'm trying to. It's like I'm trying to find time to do the stuff to do my art there. Whereas like the other time, I had plenty of time to do it, And so
when you mention your cards, like, do you come up with the concept art or also like the functionality of said card?
no, we have a design team, and they basically like give us like a set number of cards per expansion, and then basically they give us like an art brief of what they would like, the card to sort of look like, and then we kind of rewrite it to sort of make it like easier for the artist to understand and digest, like put it in art language. Like sometimes you just need to be like, hey, this is a fire spell. Make sure there's like lots of fire. Like,
Yeah.
like there's like simple things that you just need to like,
Right.
It's funny. Like one of the craziest things I found about working on Hearthstone is the names for all the characters and all the things. Like there's like a team. There's a lore team at Blizzard. There's like a dude who works.
Oh, for like all the
Like, that's his
continuity
job.
and stuff.
Blizzard
Dude,
has
yes.
the
Yeah.
best lore. So good.
It's crazy. It's insane because like I'll be like, what was it? Like there was something we asked about recently, like how do we say this thing? And there's like a Slack thread that you go to, and it's like you ask the lore team, and then they'll get back to you and say, well, technically,
Oh, that's so cool.
and it's pretty wild that that's like it's kind of crazy that that's a thing that exists, that's a job.
So obviously they were
Um,
fans long before they even
Yeah.
got it. They knew the ins
Yeah.
and outs.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
The dedication.
Yeah, but no, I was gonna say but we do get to interpret it a little bit, and the artists, we try to give the artists like a little bit of freedom, as long as they're getting the proportions right, getting there's like certain things that they look for with Hearthstone art that they really want to make sure that like on a minion card, the character, it's like the same stuff that you think about in a casino game is the same sort of stuff you think about on a Hearthstone card. Like it needs to read small.
Yeah.
It's like it's going to be scaled down onto like a phone or an iPad. It needs to still be legible whenever you see it that way.
Right.
So those skills, all that stuff transfers. And so, yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
And it's like bright and bold and vivid, not like Years of War, gray and brown.
Well, it's funny because when I started in slots, I would get like, like most of us, like I had my my lead artist, he would take my artwork and he would just crank the saturation slider until it was broken.
Yep.
It's broken. It's like my eyes are
Bump up the
burning.
saturation.
It's burning my retinas.
That's why I feel like I
And
would
then-
never be able to leave the industry without having ridiculous looking art.
Yeah.
Why is it so
We
saturated?
make clown art that's all saturated. Yeah, because like the target market for slot machines is older, so their eyes don't pick up as many
Grandma
colors.
bait. Yep.
Ammo bait.
Grandma bait. TM.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like I used to get in trouble for it, and now I'm like I get in trouble for the opposite. It's not in trouble, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like they're basically
tone it
telling me like, let's reduce or the contrast. Like I'm everything we did was high contrast in casino games, and
They're
so
like, chill out, chill out, dude.
yeah. So I'm learning a lot. Like Hearthstone kind of lives in the midtones, and it's really hard for me to like stay in the midtones because I want to like pop everything out and have everything
That
like.
surprises me actually, because I feel like looking at Hearthstone art, I would have thought the opposite.
with like
'Cause there's like
cool
some really
glowing
bright.
effects and stuff.
Because I'm a really big fan of Nicola Saviori,
Dude,
and
he's so
his
good.
his art is just like, it's so bright and so vibrant. But
Yeah. I was just chatting with him today,
Oh, nice.
actually.
That was name
Name
dropping.
yeah,
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 me and Nick, Nikki,
he's
I
one of
like to
my
call him.
No, I don't. I'm like still fanboying to them. I
Yeah.
don't know if they must think I'm a total loser. I'm just like, dude.
I'm sure they
Like,
have
when I
their
first-
people too that they,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, when I first started, I was like, dude, I just love your stuff. I'm so excited to be working with you. Like, whatever.
Act like you've
or-
been
yeah.
here before.
I know, yeah. I don't even pretend. I just
Yeah.
totally just own it and just go
Yeah.
with
That's
it.
cool,
and-
though.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
That's
You're
awesome.
just an art appreciator. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really great. He's the thing that we have some artists that are like really amazing like drawers, right?
Mhm.
And Nicola's like one of those
Mhm.
guys that like the dude can just draw. And it's kind of you find even amongst like the roster of Hearthstone artists, like to get the personality and like the sort of like the expression.
Yeah. And back to the
like,
lore,
they're so
right?
expressive.
All the characters have their own kind of like feel, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Well, and even with Hearthstone, like there are characters that only really exist in
Mhm.
Hearthstone too, and so or like the characters only like maybe it's a WoW character, but it's portrayed a certain way in
Yeah.
Hearthstone, that kind of a
Mhm.
thing. So yeah, it's weird learning about all this
Do
stuff.
the teams get
It's
mad at
totally
each other,
cool.
like the Hearthstone and the WoW teams? Do they get into little conflicts,
Gang wars.
gang wars?
No,
He doesn't want to say.
Technically-
I'm just looking for drama. Looking for the drama.
no, there's
Spill the tea.
there's no. So of course, Blizzard's been like in the news and all this kind of stuff. So I was always, even when I started there, I was a little curious about like what it was going to be like working there. And actually, Hearthstone, Hearthstone team is like the sweetest people. Like they're so kind. They're so like when I first started there, like my first week, they were like starting like an initiative to like do like a Hearthstone team cookbook and
Oh my
like
god. That's
they're
precious.
so adorable. They're so adorable, and they're just like the recruiter said they're kind of like my hippie team. She said, and I said that's funny, but they are totally kind and like really like welcoming and so
Cool.
sweet, and it's not been and so inclusive. Honestly, like it's the most inclusive company that I've ever worked for. I mean.
Yeah.
In casino games, it was much more like a boys' club than
Right,
it was
Yeah.
than it is here. And so that's actually been like a little bit like jarring almost. It's like, oh man, like
It's actually really
You know, we-
refreshing to hear.
it is, but it was kind of just like it was after being a part of that for so long. It's like, oh wow, this is what this is like. I forgot that people respected one another.
Oh.
Damn.
Not to be a jerk, but you know what I
He
mean.
just
Is there any
exposed
kind of, like,
the
it was just-
gaming industry.
Oh,
Is it
No,
is
no.
like
He's
the
not
leadership
wrong.
all from the U.S. or is there any like European influence? Because the last company I was with was very European and it was way more like diverse and open.
Yeah, we have people like from all over, honestly. The outsource team, like I said, I'm in St. Louis, but our outsource team is basically all people from all over the world. Peter Stapleton, who's been working on Hearthstone for forever, he is in Australia. Jim Nelson is in Chicago. Yeah, it's like we're based like all over. As far as like leadership, I think most of them are in Irvine, but some of them are from like all over the world. Like I've worked, like the people I'm having discussions with are like, from all
Mhm.
different backgrounds and stuff. So it's really cool.
Well, that makes me happy. Then that means it's spreading to the U.S. That mindset.
Culture. Yeah, that's good. Here at Hearthstone, we're all about the heart.
Well, it's
We
good
call
to
it
hear that they actually,
Hearthstone.
remedied a lot of the issues that they were having over the years. So it's
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
nice.
they're not perfect.
No, but like the fact
but
that they took ownership of it, and they are
Yeah.
hiring more women and stuff like that, and more, I'd imagine all kinds of people.
Yeah.
It's really nice to hear, actually.
Well, that's something that we even have talked about. Like since we're basically sourcing artists and stuff like that and keeping our roster and stuff. And so like, we're also trying to find ways to like diversify and add more women to our roster and other, people from other backgrounds and stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like it's been good, but it's like, I hadn't been a part of a place there have been active initiatives, right? And so like even when I was being interviewed, like I would have like the interviewer like stop before I like revealed information and stuff and be like, hey, just so you know, you have rights in this situation.
Really?
and like, and I was
You're
like,
do
what?
Right.
Am I
I'm
being
like, this is-
detained?
Right. It's the first thing I
but like
thought.
to be respected like that is pretty cool. And I was like, that was so unique. I've never had an experience quite like that
That's
before.
cool.
So that was
They
pretty
follow
cool.
up
I'm
with a
glad.
question with like, what color underwear are you wearing right now?
Now you don't have to answer that.
You don't have the answer.
Unless you
right
want
here.
to.
But I'd really like it if
It's
you
like word underwear.
It'll really help your interview process move along. No, that's really cool. So, I mean, since you've been working there, and I know you've been like immersed into the whole Blizzard culture, and I know you were a big fan beforehand. Have you found it has taken away from your personal work, or does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, you could see that I'm not updating Instagram anymore, basically.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean like I don't update Instagram either, but I know I'm
Yeah,
gone all the time.
yeah, because no time, or you just
Their HR is watching this. Just so you know.
Yeah.
No.
so don't answer the underwear
it's,
question. You don't have to.
No. It's funny because like I think for me, like when you get a role on a team like this, there's like finally it's like validation or something. Like you feel like, okay, I finally like I hit the
You made it. Yeah.
like
Mhm.
I made it. Like when I quit my previous job, they were like bummed out, but then they were just like, yeah, we understand. Like you got to go try to do this or whatever. But and so there was a part of me that was like, of course, really stoked. But I had a friend who I also worked with in Chicago who works at Nintendo now.
Wow.
His name is Enrique Riviera, and he's really super awesome. I'll have to share his stuff with you. You guys have probably seen his work, but he works at Retro Studios.
Yep.
But he used to work at WMS, and he was awesome.
Small world.
It was a super good guy. Yeah,
We're all like,
and
it's
we
funny
used to.
that we're all connected through WMS. Even
Right?
Elisa, because they bought her company that she was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We
Sort of.
merged. Yeah.
Scientific bought WMS and then merged with Bally. and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because we would do these sort of like art power. We wouldn't broadcast them like y'all are doing, but we would get together every once in a while and chat and draw together, and just we would always be like, "What's it like?" We just ooh and ah, like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, because he had instances where like they flew him to like Japan and like he met all these like designers that worked on Zelda and stuff and everything, and it's like that's like bonkers. And Enrique's he's crazy talented too, and so we would always be like, "What's it like?" And he's like, "Honestly, like it's really cool, but it's still just a job.
Yeah.
Like it still just feels like a job." And I understand it now. I feel like now that I found myself doing it now for a little while, and it's like there's still things about it that are a struggle, right?
Mhm.
Like, and there's still things about it that like I would still rather do something else probably. Like, you always like you would still rather draw whatever it is
Yeah.
you want to draw or
Mhm.
do, pursue
It's still
whatever it is you wanna
corporate, yeah.
pursue. Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't had a lot of time to work on like my own stuff, but but now I do feel like it kind of like it kind of freed me a little bit.
Mhm.
Like now I feel like now that I did that, like I feel like, okay, I did that.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Now
a
I feel
huge
like whatever
accomplishment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
well now it's like you get to a point where you're like now I feel like, okay, I did that, so in my mind I feel like I'm good. Like maybe I
Mhm.
don't have to do video games anymore. I don't know. Like I could probably go back to slots and be happy. Like I don't know.
Next up is creator owned. You got to make your own something, your
Make
own
your own
property.
something. Yeah, I think
It would be
I think
fun.
I remember you did a card for Bob Rossetto also.
Who was also from WMS.
Yeah.
Who's also
Yep.
from WMS.
Yep.
Yeah, me and Elisa
He's
actually
awesome.
did cards on there also.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I knew you did. I didn't know she did. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
I wish I
evil
did a better
octopus.
card, but I was told there was a certain deadline,
too.
but then the deadline got stretched like 6 months, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I could have done
Oh
like
yeah,
a way better card than the one I turned in. Damn it!
yeah. I kind of did the same thing. Yeah, I kind of just tried to rush it at the very end because Bob, he's like a friend, and I was like, oh, I got to do this for Bob. I didn't. It was kind of like half-hearted kind of a thing.
Oh,
Sorry, Bob, if you're listening. No, I'm kidding.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
But it's
totally
like it was like,
know.
oh, I just gotta.
I know.
It's like I gotta.
because he reached out.
It's like I gotta come
Yeah,
through.
he reached out to like people that he could like trust to, be a part of this
Yeah.
project.
Well, and then once it came all together, he did like for the people who may not be familiar with, basically he did like a whole deck of like trading cards that were made up superheroes, wholly original superhero characters. It was super cool. And I think once he knew what the potential it had to be a really awesome product in the
Mhm.
end, and I think once I got the product in hand, I was like, oh man, like this is so
Oh
much
yeah, they
cooler.
turned out
Yeah.
really
I c-
good.
Yeah.
Like once I was like, next time I would have pushed even harder and tried to do an even better job.
And that's how
Like,
I
I didn't know
felt.
this is what you meant.
This is way more gratifying than I thought it
I'm
would be.
dumb. I didn't even back to Kickstarter.
Oh really?
Yeah, I was like, I just kind of like, I submitted my card and then I just kind of like completely forgot to like do the Kickstarter. Luckily, Ed had bought like a second.
I
set.
bought
Yeah, I got
two.
two
I like I
decks as
double
well.
kickstarted, so I was like, "Well, here, Lisa, you
So
can
Yeah.
I
have my
still have
second
my
deck."
card, but I was like, oh man.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say he sent out two to us, and so I was like, if you need me, I could send you an extra deck. I have an extra one too.
No, it's
It was a
cool.
cool
Yeah, it
project.
was.
Cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing something like that again.
Yeah.
Should the
Yeah,
art podcast do that?
The art
Make some
podcast.
cards,
You could.
trading cards.
Make some
If we could get a bunch of people,
I think that's what's probably
Don't
hardest.
count on this guy.
don't count on
I'm
Brian.
sure if
This
you
guy's
ask,
I would absolutely join in for that, as long as it's not on Magma live on air. Right, when I don't like.
Oh
when I
my
don't
gosh.
I'm
like
sure
drawing.
Bob has some stories about trying to wrangle people to do a
Like
project. of
herding
that
cats, trying to get
size.
artists.
Yeah.
to-
Bob is like, some people just half-ass their cards.
Whoopsie.
they think they got all day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think part of it is he knows how to manage the Kickstarter
Yeah.
part of it. Like that's the part that's pretty
Right.
interesting to me. That's the hardest part, I think. So he took care of that.
yeah. I think like I always wanted to do a Kickstarter, but I just didn't know what I was gonna do and like how to go
Mhm.
about it. And I
Mhm.
think I had that feeling of like, "Oh, would anyone buy this?" Like,
Yeah, right. That's it.
Now the
It's-
doubt kicks in.
well, it's not like it's like, oh, like I really like the stuff I draw, but then would anyone else? You know?
Yeah.
I love the stuff you draw. I actually was a fan of your stuff even when I first started at WMS. Matt was showing me like your work and stuff,
Oh,
Ed,
yeah.
and so like I was really familiar with it. And I was like, oh, dude, what is this dude not here for?
Drama. That's why. I'm kidding.
Drama. We're not talking about it on the
I
show.
would-
We're not talking about it.
No,
I was aware there was some drama. Yeah.
yeah, no,
Um,
years and years ago, but you know, it's
But you
What
know
I
what? Like it
heard-
was weird
here's
because
what I heard.
I sort of just
I heard.
I just
I'm
sort
sorry,
of
go ahead.
I just sort of showed up and like I was like, hey, and now I work here, and I walked into all of the like the stuff after everything had sort of been
Well, then
dramatic. I guess.
that's what I'm about to tell you. I heard they got rid of Ed so they could hire you. I'm just saying.
yeah.
Oh,
Starting
No.
shit.
It comes out.
That's not
But
true.
Not true. That's
You
not
know.
true, everyone.
I could see why.
I like. Oh, whatever. I like that Ed and I are buddies.
Yeah.
Regardless. So whatever.
Yeah, I think I just ran across your stuff and I'm like, ooh, I like this. I need to talk to him. Hey, what's up? What are you doing? Be my friend.
Yeah, I like we both have like we have a similar love for like gross. I
Teeth?
called it like
giant teeth.
just nasty, gross things. Like my first Hearthstone card is really goopy and gross,
Right.
and I really am proud of that. And
Does it
so,
have Garbage Pail Kid vibes.
dude, so I was trying to describe it to Jim, the guy I work with, and I said, yeah, I kind of have like this like trailer park aesthetic.
Yeah, I think for me it was growing up in the 80s with Garbage Pail Kids
Yeah.
and Mad Balls.
Mad
and,
balls.
Like
Yeah,
slime
I got a
was
Mad Ball back
for
here.
some reason you could go to a gumball machine and just get like
25-cent slime.
like
Yeah,
slime.
and it was like It was
you're
hit or
just-
miss on the quality, but
Yeah,
it
and
didn't
you're
matter
just
because
kind
it's a
of rolling
quarter.
it around in your hands all day, and
Yeah.
you would
Slime
drop
is
it.
so popular.
Yeah, it made
Dude,
a
slime
weird
is
resurgence.
insane.
There's a slime store
It
at the
drives
mall.
me nuts.
They have an
Is there
entire
really?
store for making
Yeah.
slime,
Yes.
like a Pinot, those Pinot drink and paint kind of places.
Like make slime and drink wine kind of places. Like
Well, not
drinking.
to drink wine for children, but
I don't know. Like I didn't know kids like slime like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it's
There's
huge
a-
now. It's like Crocs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's YouTube
Crocs
videos
are
about
back.
slime now.
I'm wearing my house Crocs right now
You have Crocs on
Yeah,
it.
because I'm at my
What charms are they?
standing desk. So when
charms
I'm
are
at my
on them?
standing, I need the cushion.
The cushion. Oh, I have,
Emotional support
I
Crocs.
have
Yeah,
an
exactly.
anti-fatigue mat because I don't want to wear
Yeah.
Crocs, so I have an anti-fatigue.
See, I would
mat.
never leave the house with them though,
Yeah.
Coward.
unless I had some really cool ones. I think I would have to get some like neon. I think I could go
Camo.
with the neon orange camo.
They've got like Pokemon ones and all sorts of stuff. It's nuts. And sometimes I get tempted, then I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I have to take a stand.
So you're
Can't do it.
anti-Croc as well? Anti-Crocs?
Dude, my kids like them, but yes, I am because well, when I was in high school, I worked in Walmart electronics, the electronics section, and that was like it was like I don't know. I graduated in 2000, so that's how old I am. But
Oh, that's young.
basically, like that was like when Crocs just started kind of happening. Like that was like, and I was like, what is this? Like, why would anybody wear these? And now they're like hip and cool, and people are like really in. My kids all
Yeah.
want to wear them. It's like,
It reminds me
what kind of alternate like?
of what they wear in like the back of the house of like line cooks. You know?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what that shoe looks
Yeah.
like. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh
I
no,
have
I
a
did
pair
wear
of
them.
shoe Crocas that someone bought for me. They're too hot because they're fur lined, so they're way too hot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Someone as you bought them for yourself.
Uh-huh.
No, Dion got them for me because he knows I'm a Star Wars nerd and I hate Crocs.
Hey, eShirt Labs is here. What's
Hey.
happening, man? Straight out of Fort Collins.
Nice.
I guess that's where you're coming from.
Yeah,
Or is that-
Collins.
Or is that where Crocs are from? I don't know.
We were developing it
Birthplace
at
of the
advanced
Croc.
R&D
The
team.
birthplace of the
Fort
Croc. I
Collins.
don't even know where Fort Collins is.
Oh, Crocs
Oh,
are
Crocs.
from
Yeah, look,
Fort
there
Collins.
you go. Look at that. Next time you're at a like trivia night.
Today
so
I
look
learned
at-
Crocs are from Fort Collins.
That's crazy. Small world.
Where's Fort Collins? Is that like Florida or something? I don't know.
No. Oh my gosh. Isn't it in Colorado?
Is
That's
it?
what I was thinking.
I don't know geography.
I have no idea. I have to say that because the NSA is also watching.
Fort
this
Collins,
podcast.
Colorado.
Oh my gosh.
TSU. Okay. Colorado.
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 What's the rat in Colorado?
There you go.
Rocks. Anyways, I put the pun at the top of my thing. I don't know if I
What
can
is-
say it well.
Oh, good
Goblin
Lord,
teeth.
Oh,
Josh.
God.
Josh. First of all, Josh, bravo. Golf clap.
Second
how
of all,
dare- Mm.
Does it
I
look
don't
like
approve.
a bag of peanuts? That's
Yes,
all
it
I'm
does.
worried.
It does because
My
the stripe
10-year-old
and the
nephew is
little peanut
obsessed with saying
logo.
that.
first, so what did it
Colorado's
say?
so progressive.
First legalized recreational Mary Jane.
Hey.
Hey.
Depends.
Yeah, you know, like I actually voted against it here.
Oh man.
You
Yeah.
did? You're
I- yeah.
That went to make America great again or something.
No. It was mostly because I was like, you know what? They keep saying that it's gonna be here to help like schools and stuff, and I was just like,
Oh
I was
no
like,
way.
no, they're not doing
My
that.
argument for that is that's
They're
the
gonna-
execution part. That's
was-
somebody's pocketing the money. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone's pocketing money. I
Yeah,
was
it
just
definitely
thinking
makes money though.
they're gonna
I
build a
was all
stadium
about
or
the-
something. That's
the
what I was thinking.
decriminalization part of it, but
Exactly.
they're still evil.
They
Government's
are
still
evil.
evil.
Government's still evil. Brian said it. So,
I said it. You know, my favorite topic is politics and pro wrestling. Sorry,
Movie,
Brittany. I'm
brother.
sorry, Brittany. She just left now.
Public discourse, brother.
If you don't know, Ryan, we happen to mention pro wrestling way too often on
Like
this
every
podcast.
episode.
I heard.
We've had people leave the podcast altogether just because they hate it so much.
Brittany.
Namely.
I go through waves of like there's every once in a while I try to get into wrestling and then I bounce off like after I don't know a few weeks. It's like I'm like, yeah, I might want to get into
He's
this
like,
again.
every
And then I'm
time I come back, Roman Reigns is still the champ.
like, he is.
Yeah.
It's true.
Almost 1,000 days.
Almost 1,000 days.
Oh my gosh.
My daughter got me into it because I watched it when I was younger, but then all of a sudden she got into it, and then I got into it, and then she stopped, and now I'm stuck.
Now you're like, I'm the only one here rooting for these people.
actually, yeah.
Well, and you.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you. Wow, I totally just blanked. Never mind. Keep going.
Blank now. No,
If it was pro wrestling related, that's fine. We could just talk about art.
yeah. Actually, I watch it with Rachel, and so I'm not alone. So it's not just me.
Yeah.
It's actually like
We have like a
Hanging
drinking problem.
Oh, we just got to rage unfollow.
Rage. Who's that? Oh, it's Bear. Damn it, Bear.
I watch wrestling alone in the house, and every time my wife or kids walk by the TV, you can feel the judgment like emanating off of them.
Oh man.
Well, see, if I had to watch it by myself, I probably wouldn't watch it at all. So at least it's a couple kind of thing we have. So
He just called me a loser, everyone. Called me a loser. And I own it.
damn.
I feel like wrestling like it hit its peak like in the Austin
Yeah, the Attitude
era.
Era. I think that's the
Yeah.
Ed and I are from the previous, the 80s era where
I like that era
yeah,
too.
but
Yeah.
we act like that's the golden age, but we know it's the Attitude Era. It was the biggest. And I hate saying that out loud, but I have to admit it. Yeah, credit where credit's due.
It's the mic skills.
Yeah, it's
There's
like,
not
they're not
there's
cutting
not
good promos anymore. There's like pre-written
now
and they talk slow.
there are good wrestlers now though.
Yeah.
Like there's like some of the female wrestlers
Oh
are
my
like
god, yeah.
some of those matches are the best. Yeah, because they're just doing all this crazy stuff, and I feel like the hair gives them like another dramatic element. Like
It's more motion because the hair.
yeah, you feel more motion. It's like, ooh, that felt powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't follow enough of the indie wrestling, so I'm just now discovering how awesome wrestlers like Io Sky are. I was like, I didn't know she was so good. The damage control is holding her back.
I even texted Brian last weekend. Ooh, did you see that
Did you
EO
see
Sky
that opening
match?
match? I was like, no, I haven't seen it yet. That was
It's
the
like,
best match
damn
in the
it,
whole
Brian, you're
pay-per-view.
supposed to watch this live.
That was the best match.
Smoke some weed and mellow that rage.
Uh-oh.
Jesus.
Bear Edwards sounds like he's been listening to us talk about our comic book.
Oh yeah,
Watch your
about that
reports,
comic
right?
book.
About that comic book. How's that going on, Ed? Actually, I you did the sketch. You did the character sketch that I saw
Yes.
when we were at the so
I've just been so
Making
all over the
progress,
place.
making
But
progress.
when the kids are out of school, I have way more free time.
How about you, Ryan? You read comics?
I not usually lately. I think the last one I was reading was I've been trying to get through Berserk, which is a
Mhm.
manga.
Hmm.
But yeah, I always go back to older stuff and try to, I like Battle Angel, Alita, like some of those old manga.
Mostly
Okay,
manga.
manga. I read manga.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
It's still a comic book.
It is. I'm about to read Chainsaw
I enjoy
Man. I'm about
comics.
to read Chainsaw Man because I don't want to wait for the anime.
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man.
Well, because my son has the
Do you guys
first
watch-
10 volumes already, so I'm just
Mhm.
gonna steal. his
I've not
comics.
watched the anime.
I haven't either, but I don't want to watch one whole season and then go. Now I got to wait till next year, so I'm probably just gonna
feel
read the manga.
Then you forgot, right? Then you have to watch like a 15-minute just review of what happened.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like
Oh.
a 2-minute intro music and then 2-minute recap.
At that point, it's like being a fool. You're like, remember last time we were here, we were learning about multiplications. Like,
Like I'm bro, I'm binge watching this. I don't need the recaps.
That's what happened with like The Witcher and Sweet Tooth. Like by the
Too
time
many
like
recaps. Oh, by the time it comes out, you forgot.
I'm like, did I even watch this show? Like, and I watched the recap. I'm like, don't remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm with
Away-
every show.
takes away that emotional attachment that you formed with the characters. Because I'm like, I forgot who you are. What are you?
What are you?
Stranger Things, whenever they come back, I'm like, oh, I'm just reminded that time is passing because these kids are like getting taller and bigger. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is time?
All
What is
these
the
deep
show?
voices and Adam's apples. I'm like, how much time has passed?
Rather
Yeah.
than enjoying a show, I'm like I'm getting reminded of my own mortality.
Every season they bump it up like 5 years later.
Yeah,
I feel it in my bones.
I end up looking like Rose at the end of Titanic. Yo, what year?
It's been 84 years.
Shit. That's too funny. Oh man.
Where
Oh,
It's hard to
I'm
draw
curious.
at the same
I'm
time.
curious about
Yeah,
Ryan's
that's why I don't draw
early
as much.
inspirations and where does he get them like today?
Yes.
that's a good question.
Who are your artistic inspirations?
Oh man, it's hard to.
Like, what got you drawing? Like-
Oh man, like early on, probably like the first movie I saw in the theater was The Dark Crystal.
Nice.
Oh,
Like,
I'm
So,
sorry for your nightmare.
The night terror.
The night terrors that you had.
It was early enough that like I didn't know what it was, but the images were so vivid and locked in my brain. And then in 5th grade, I was in the library and I came across this like Henson book, and it had pictures of like the Gelflings and stuff in there. And I was like, it like unlocked. I was like, what? This is the thing in my brain. This is the thing. And so it kind of spun off into that. It became like one of my It's like then I loved it. It became like a treasure that I found. Right? But it was like, oh yeah, that
Kids movies are so
that was
dark.
a big part
They
of
used
it.
to be so dark.
Yeah.
Like those are all
They were
G.
that one's
those are like
creepy.
G-rated.
mm.
Never-ending story. Like
Yeah.
Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
yeah, there's always
Well, even
death.
now.
Like,
Yeah.
hard death.
Well, I want my kids to watch Land Before Time just so they
Oh
can
god.
traumatize.
That's a rough
saddest
one.
movie.
That's just the
It
dinosaur
is really
version of Bambi.
Right? Yeah.
More or less, yeah. Every Disney movie.
Bear
I'm trying to
Bear
think.
has a comic. Excuse me. On the comics that I just saw where they finished filming the new Hellboy.
Are they making another movie?
What? They are?
Or is it the
Well,
sequel?
Yeah,
to
what's
that?
this?
'Cause they
So
had
funny.
that one that was 2019
I just watched
or something.
the 2019 one
Is that
literally
good?
yesterday.
It didn't
Really?
It's
for me.
terrible.
It was
figured.
I will
awful.
say though, visually, if you watch it, there's like towards the end, there are some demons that come out of hell, and those are some of the coolest design
Just the
Hell
end, the
demons
very end.
ever. They're so
Yeah.
badass looking.
I don't
But
know
the
how
rest
they
of the movie
messed
is
up that
garbage.
movie because they had some cool stuff going for it. You know, they had giant
Yeah.
giant golems. You know, and the Hellboy design it was scarier. I like the
Yeah,
the
yeah, he
I
had-
Perlman
like
one.
the Perlman
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
But the
Yeah,
action
not my
was-
Hellboy. Not my boy.
I did
Yeah.
I did like the vampire luchador in the beginning though. I thought that was
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
That was
cool.
pretty cool.
This
Wait,
Hellboy
in the
was
new
less
one, in the
clunky.
2019
Yeah.
one.
yeah.
He goes to
Oh,
Mexico.
Maybe I should
Pretty
watch that then.
If
There's some-
anything, just for that.
There are some cool visuals, and I like the whole like Arthurian legend vibe that they're going for. There's some cool stuff, but yeah, the Perlman ones are just they're so good.
Yeah.
That was iconic.
Plus the practical effects of
Yeah.
the Guillermo del Toro movies are just so
Dude, Del
They're so
Toro is
good.
awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm a big fantasy nerd. Like I would throw Star Wars in the trash can, and I love Star Wars. But I would throw it in the trash can to save Lord of the Rings. Like I'm like a Lord of the Rings guy. Like
Oh,
like I'm a huge
Oh, nice.
I'm a huge fantasy. I like all that kind of crap. But yeah, Del Toro stuff is freaking awesome.
But for
Mhm.
me, the only fantasy I've read is Lord of the Rings, and I love it. It's like one of my favorites. And Ed hates that I make fun of those Drow elf ones, those R.A. Salvatore books. With
I just love the
Oh,
drow.
yeah.
I love the drow. If I was gonna be a fantasy character, it would be a drow.
you'd be a drow. Wait, why?
I like blackface.
What's a drow?
I like blackface.
The,
That's my
the,
thing.
oh wow!
And that's on live.
Ed,
Wow.
we're live.
I'm kidding.
And now I need to leave this podcast.
That'd be
Ryan's
awesome.
gonna get an email from
They're
HR.
purple now. They're purple.
And now
They're
Purple, I heard.
They're purple.
are you all hiring? That's what I need to know. Yeah, I don't. I haven't ventured too far out with the Salvatore books or whatever. He did didn't he write like a video game or something that
Yeah.
came out or?
What was it? It wasn't Neverwinter. I don't remember, but yes, he was involved
I feel like he
in.
was tied to
Yeah,
something.
because D&D was making a lot of games at the time, role playing games at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and he was involved in a couple of those. I was going to start reading the Dragonlance stuff. I don't know why I didn't. I just didn't.
Oh man, Brian. So I follow we follow each other on Instagram, and so you always post a lot of your toys that you like,
Mm-hmm.
all your figures, right? Like maybe once a week, right? So
Is that
every
Kaneda's
time,
bike behind you? I see that.
every time I get a package in the mail and my wife looks at it, I go and show her your Instagram.
Just
And it's like
to
see,
soften the blow.
just to soften the blow.
I
Like, see,
being good.
It could be so much
so
worse.
much worse. But this is cool.
I'm
my
gonna
goal
get
is
the
just
toy
to
he
just
has
short
next.
it.
I'm gonna get that toy next.
It's funny because I don't know if you know this. I actually started like a geeky Instagram page that I could, because I would lose followers on my art page every time I would post all the dumb stuff I was
Really?
into.
I have a
That's so
separate art
weird.
one as
Yeah.
well because I was losing followers when I post cats and not art.
Dang.
Yeah, it's come on.
I have an Instagram of me painting miniatures and terrain. So it's just
I love it.
like full on terrain for D&D, and I'm just like,
Those are
what?
impressive too. Those are impressive.
This needs a different place, because people will just stop following, and I'm just like, it's cool.
Yeah. It kind of well, I did. So what happened then though? But then I threw myself into that account and I just stopped posting on my art account for a couple years, and I had more followers on the dorky geeky account, and I had more interaction with people there. And then finally, I was just like, man, I need to just screw the people that want to unfollow me. I'm just gonna be myself. Whatever
that's
happens,
insane.
happens.
Right on. Right
Nice.
on.
Whatever. I don't need validation from any of these people.
Yeah.
It'll be
You
fine.
like what you like.
And
Yeah,
you don't
that's what I'm
like
saying.
it, screw you.
I'm not here to serve your inclinations, your
feel like-
whimsy.
Yeah, I feel like the stuff that like all the geeky stuff and your art are the best fans, though.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I don't know if I wouldn't call anybody fans, but I would say
We're
it's-
fans.
You have
We're
fans.
fans.
You got fans.
Yeah,
We're
It's
fans.
it's-
We follow because we're fans.
yeah, the grandmas we were talking about earlier.
They would
Ryan, I
never
told
understand.
you every new hire at my company, if they're a younger artist, I'm like, Ryan Bowlin, study his art. That's all you do.
Nice.
That's yeah.
I think that's just a byproduct of I being the only person that posts their slot artwork. I'm the only one that you can find it
true.
online, probably.
I
That's
never
awesome.
Yeah, I
posted
think
it.
so.
Yeah, you're consistent. You always were posting a lot of your newer.
I bet
Well, I
Matt
mean-
Sattel used to post his slot stuff
Yeah,
too. But I haven't seen him
he
lately.
did.
I
But
haven't seen him
also
posting
Travis
lately. So.
Travis Johnson always posts his logos and stuff too, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. He does awesome graphic work.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I spent so long doing R&D stuff, so none of the stuff I made was out on the floor, except for 2 games. So I never posted any artwork from slots.
I feel that.
You know, Josh.
Yeah.
You know, Josh. This stuff is
Tell
all
me-
R&D.
I
No
would-
one sees it.
I want to know about what y'all are into. What are each of you doing now, and where are you at, and what roles do you have?
I just recently got laid off from a mobile slot company, so now I am now a full-time author. I have taken
Okay.
the leap, and I'm just writing for me.
That's awesome. I mean, not awesome, but
No, it is awesome. It's awesome because I was planning on doing it already. Either I was going to pull the ripcord or the company was, and they made the decision, which was better because I got severance.
Nice.
right.
So
Yeah.
I had enough savings built up for that runway, and it was going to happen either this year or the beginning of next year. So they made the decision for me. Everyone freaked out except me. I was happy.
Oh, they
We're
freaked out.
celebrating, popping champagne. I just got laid off, baby.
Finally, it sucked though because the whole Vegas studio got laid off, so I didn't want to be too
shit.
happy. I don't want to be too happy and celebrate.
Right.
They all
There-
knew what
yeah,
I was doing,
there were
but
people
I
at
don't
the
want
edge of the rooftop, and Brian was celebrating.
Yeah, I didn't want to rub it in, but we because we still talk and hang out. So,
Yeah.
but they know what I'm doing.
They now have seen
That's
you
stressful.
on this podcast.
But yeah, now I just
And they
the only
see
art
that
I do
you're-
is here.
That's right.
I like to write too, but I haven't written in a long time. I think someday I have probably like you. Like I have my book ideas like that I've got.
Oh yeah,
notebooks
everyone's got
and stuff like
too
that.
many book ideas. Like that's so. It's
Yeah.
just like artists. Like we have too many things that we want to draw. We have too many
Yeah.
book ideas. Too many stories. It all comes from like role playing games though. Since I don't run role playing games anymore, all these
Mhm.
ideas I just want to turn into regular stories. So
Mhm.
that's basically what we're doing.
I have a long backlog of the stuff I want to paint, stuff I want to make sculptures of.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like the development time, it just takes so long. Like,
Mhm.
And you, of course, you got your life responsibilities and all that shenanigans.
Yeah, but you got to do the research phase of all that
Yeah.
stuff too. Like, how am I going to do this?
Like recently, like I showed you guys the linear actuator I was trying to make. I guess I was trying to reinvent the wheel, so that it was dumb on my part, but I did learn a little something on it, but it didn't work the way I wanted.
You didn't want to use work that other people already did. You're like, no,
I tried.
can do it."
Yeah. It was a mistake. I regretted it, but at the same time, I did learn why people didn't do that. So I'm the freak in the group because I'm not exactly like a pro artist. I'm a guy who just likes to draw pretty pictures.
That sounds
Artists of all
awesome.
ages. This podcast is for artists of all experience
Exactly.
levels.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm the voice of the people who just like art but aren't the pro artists. I gave up on art years ago, and I met Ed, and I've been in love with art ever since.
I was say he's in love with Ed ever since.
Oh, I didn't know. You should have
Took a
told
turn.
me.
Yeah, don't
like a
hold that in, Josh.
Josh is
mean-
gonna propose on the pod.
You're gonna have to awkwardly decline though. Like, thank you.
But yeah, because like I didn't understand what like values were. Like we would. I remember being in high school and we had to make this grid. When I chose this car, like I just wanted to draw this car so bad, like from an ad, and I was drawing it, and the teacher was like, "All right, now you got to put the values because you got to tell like what's the shape of the car and the highlights, blah blah blah."
Like values, this is $26,000.
And I tried to copy the thing, and it was pretty bad. I hated it, and then it just got more frustrating when they made me do still life, and I was like, I'm not getting it, man. Like I get it's a box, but I'm not painting it's a box, So
Mhm.
I'm back on my journey to learn paint mixing and
Well, no one enjoys art school, but
That's not true.
I do.
no one enjoys it. You guys making
I
Josh
loved
feel
it.
bad. You guys making
Just
Josh feel
brought-
Oh, I see.
No
Oh, yeah,
one
yeah.
enjoys
No
art
one.
classes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it
sorry. It was
sucked.
bad. Not good.
Hated it. Why was I there?
Drawing naked old men. That's why I was there.
Oh yeah.
Where else are you gonna get this kind of exposure?
Right?
America's
Literally.
favorite pastime.
It's funny, like this is really off topic. My wife was just asking me. I talked to somebody recently who went to the same school that I went to, and I was looking at his Instagram account, and I noticed he had like a life-size figure drawing thing that he had done in class, and I recognized the model from like. God, I was like, this dude must be ancient now. This model. He was so old when I was in there.
Some of
He's
those
still
people are
doing it.
lifers, man.
That,
That'd be-
that, yeah,
That'd be
that
great
happened
if
to me
you
also.
identified the specific skin folds, and you're like, "There's another one. There's a new one this year."
There's a new one. I gotta draw this guy now. I gotta update my reference.
Yeah, that actually happened. Like I think CTN was doing like a thing online with life models,
Uh-huh.
and I tuned in, and it was like this model I used to draw like back when I was in school. And I'm like, holy crap! Like the same thing. It was like, why isn't this guy dead? I was in school
Right?
a long time ago.
Wow.
How is he alive? And he looks the same.
And have
Yeah.
you ever
He's
come
alive
across
'cause
a
he
model
stays in
where you're
shape
like,
for-
"That's
for
the guy I
people."
saved from the snow," and he's once again naked.
Oh,
No more stories.
Nudity shots.
Nudity,
They most
they
certainly
do.
do.
Ed
They
has
do.
too many tails.
I probably talked about getting kicked out of life drawing class for laughing, right? I think I
yeah.
told
You
guys
talked
that.
Did you
about it.
really?
I don't know if that was on the podcast, but you.
Yeah, it
I
was
missed
like
that one.
Now I want to know.
there was this model in class. It was like it was fine. She was a heavier set woman, and that was perfectly fine, right? And someone like she had turned around and just bent over her face in the class, and one guy just like snickered, and it was just like a domino effect.
That's all
Like,
it took.
for-
Yeah.
it's all it took. Like I don't even know why I
Yeah.
was laughing, other than I couldn't stop. And so we got
That's so
kicked out of
fucked
class.
up.
I know. I felt so bad.
They're putting it all on the
You
line
gave
for
her
you,
body for art,
Yeah.
I know.
and you make a mockery.
right?
All right.
I was just laughing because someone else was laughing. And yeah, exactly. Church giggles.
Church giggles.
T-shirt Labs has the back on this
The same person gets a new Netflix series on how she became like who she was today. Like that was her turning point.
one.
That's her origin story. Oh man.
Oh,
Well,
man.
some of you never finished answering my question.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Me
Both of
right
you.
now, I worked at Aristocrat for like almost 10 years. And
Mhm.
I just recently left.
What are you doing now?
Stuff, drawing.
Interesting.
In a particular field. But
Art field.
in art field. I'll just say
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Out in the field. Hashtag plain.
Playing the
Yeah.
field. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
But other than that, like mostly my focus has just been like personal art constantly. I think I have the day job, it pays the bills.
hmm
It's not Target.
It's not Target.
Not that there's anything wrong with Target, but Weight Watchers commercials never happen at Figure Drawing Class.
Aw.
Why did I even say that out loud?
I feel like T-shirt Labs
all
is just
recorded.
Ed typing up comments.
Right?
But
I don't think E-shirt Labs is a separate person at all.
but yeah, no, definitely just always just focus on art and doing that, trying to get better.
And we keep talking about making a comic that we never make.
Yeah.
God.
We lack on
Dude,
that one.
comics are
Lack on
really
that one.
hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are.
Hobbies
But
are
like,
hard.
but this is
Can I make a suggestion? Do you have like I don't know what's the vertical slice version of a comic, or maybe even like a trailer version of it? You know, like a 3-pager, so you get a feel for what it is.
That's what we're trying to
doing,
do.
like, yeah, we're doing like a pitch issue.
We need a vertical slice of a vertical slice.
right.
We're
3
doing
panels.
a pitch
3
issue.
It's not even a slice of a cake.
At this point, it's a Garfield comic.
It's a Garfield comic. It's the
Oh,
Garfield
not
without
Garfield.
Garfield ones to show how crazy John Arbuckle is.
Oh, it's like
I love those.
where there's no Garfield. And
Yeah.
it's just existential John.
It's
I
great.
saw that Garfield from Memory thing came up on social media again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like part of a drawing prompt, and
Yeah.
there was just a whole bunch of people drawing Garfield from Memory. And
Garfield.
and I looked at Garfield like now. He's not the same Garfield I drew when I was a kid at all.
Oh, there's probably like the 80s
thought-
Garfield.
Yeah, I thought 80s Garfield was kind of like the final evolution. Has it changed?
He's
since then?
got like long legs, and his eyes are smushed together. It's a weird Garfield. Like
Is that the Garfield I'm thinking of? The
Garfield I'm
mid
used to?
80s Garfield?
Are you
The
thinking of
Garfield-
Heathcliff?
That's the poor man's.
I know, right? It is a poor man's Garfield, but someone just posted
Bootleg
like the intro,
Garfield.
the Heathcliff intro on Twitter. I was like, wow, whoever did the animation for that
so
decided
good.
this was going to be the best orange
like
cat cartoon
anime-esque.
ever.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so crazy. I don't remember it being that good, mostly because Heathcliff was on at 5:30 in the morning, so I didn't.
Was
actually
it? It was like
intro
on at
for it.
like 3 in the afternoon for me.
Yeah, I remember seeing it
Yeah.
that
Like
way.
with Dennis the Menace and
Probably on the
Inspector
East
Gadget.
Coast.
Probably.
In Vegas, it was Heathcliff at 5:30, and then Transor Z at 6.
Transformers.
And then Mighty
and then
Max.
Robotech. Mighty. No, that's
Oh, well,
90.
actually, no, that's
We're not
later.
that
Never mind.
old.
I'm sorry.
I'm not that young.
Yeah.
Hey,
I like Mighty Max.
Mighty
Who it
Max.
is?
Mighty
Who
Max should have
it
been a
is?
movie, but I know that they would fuck it up.
Oh, so
Soul Brush Heroes in the house. How you doing?
Hey.
Oh man, if you type in the chat exclamation feet, something should come up.
Oh,
would it? I'm gonna do it.
I can't.
Wait, no, that nothing happened.
Oh, because you're in the private chat.
Oh,
Do we have access to the public chat?
Oh,
Do
no,
I have to
that's-
go on Twitch?
Oh, it's probably on the Twitch.
uh,
There you go. I typed it.
You know, I told myself I wasn't gonna draw anything Blizzard related, but I drew Brightwing. Couldn't help it.
It's very nice.
Thank you.
What did,
Very nice. It's more than
I
I
need
drew.
to zoom out. I haven't even seen. Oh, that's cool.
It's very nice.
I still play Heroes of the Storm, and I love me some Brightwing.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you're a fan.
I am. I was like super into like vanilla WoW, like when it first came out.
Uh huh.
Actually, I kind of have a funny story. So like years and years ago, like I was working at Lowry's. It's like a prime rib restaurant, and I was like hostessing, and like a giant group of guys came in, and I'm like, oh, like, are you here celebrating anything? And they're like, yeah, we just released like a video game, and I'm like, oh, what? And they're like, oh, it's just this game called World of Warcraft. I'm like, and it was the second expansion, and which I think was Burning Crusade. I'm like, I have a 57 and yeah, so I like got to geek out with like a bunch of dudes from Blizzard for.
Were you
for a
wearing
hot
that Lowry's 1950s waitress outfit?
While they're
No,
playing
so the-
1950s
Was that-
music
was that the
over
one
the
that-
was
speakers.
that the one in Sahara?
You know what I'm talking
it's
about?
on
Is it
Flamingo.
Trop?
No,
Flamingo? Oh, okay, yeah.
no, they wore that brown like waitressing outfit. No, the hostesses had to wear this ugly like flight attendant looking garbage, but yeah, that was pretty cool. But I think
That
they
was
made
pretty
fun
good.
of me because I was on like a PVE server instead of PvP. But
Oh,
They made fun of you for that?
Wow.
like,
Get outta
like,
here,
it
kid.
was like a joke. Yeah,
You see this hostess trying to think she's part of WoW? Get
Yeah.
out of here.
You even play that?
can't even play against real people.
it was funny. Like during the day where I had to do the long interview in the afternoon. The guys, the final round, the 3-round interview was Peter Stapleton and Trevor Jacobs, and he's the art director for Hearthstone. But Trevor has been at Blizzard since like I was in high school, like
Yeah,
working on like
OG.
StarCraft 2, and and so I was like totally like so nervous and geeking out,
Yeah.
and by the end of it, I was pulling art books from my shelf,
Oh, that's
going,
awesome.
"Look,
Yeah,
I have this one," and and he was just like, "All right, cool,
Yeah.
yeah."
that artwork was
We
so
only see that
iconic.
every interview.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's awesome though, and that's the thing about you meet these people, and these are people that I've seen their work and whatever, and they're so kind and like approachable. This is another random thing, but have you guys ever been to any Spectrum events? You know, like Spectrum
The
Fantasy
books
Illustration.
or the magazine?
Yeah,
I
you know the
haven't.
books.
Yeah. No, we used to
So
borrow those books at school and never return them.
Oh,
because
Right?
Just because art wasn't on the internet back then, and you get a Spectrum
Right.
book, you're like, oh shit, I'm keeping this.
I stopped buying them. I'm looking at them now. I have like 6, but yeah, like because they would come out once per year or whatever. And anyways, they do they used to do like a show, like a con where you can go and like visit and see all these illustrator stuff. And I met, you know who Paul Bonner is? Like he's a amazing fantasy illustrator, and like Ian McCaig, Star
Oh,
Wars
yeah,
Ian
yeah,
that's really
McCaig, you know, like. So there's like all these like legendary like, and they were all in Kansas City, and there was like no fans. It was just artists,
Wow.
and it was like you could just approach and just walk up and talk to Ian McCaig and like have a conversation with him, and they would like ask me like, well, where's your stuff? Can I see your stuff? And I'm like, oh my gosh, what? And then
I'm
you want to see
unprepared.
my
Yeah,
stuff? Yeah, it's totally crazy though. But it was like all these like that's the thing that I often have learned is like all these artists are so approachable and like kind. It's like very rare have I met somebody that was kind of like a dick. I have met.
I
couple
think
dicks.
we've all had our
I will
little
say.
stories of meeting people. Don't meet your heroes.
Maybe an after show sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've had pretty good luck with that too. But yeah, I remember there was one at San Diego Comic-Con. That's one thing I miss about living in Vegas is being able to go out to Comic-Con and
Mhm.
stuff.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I won't say what the artist was, but I like listened to their podcast and stuff, and then I
Oh.
went and
Mm.
started talking to them, and they were just like, "Are you gonna buy something?" Or like,
Oh, it's
like they were totally like
Just
a
say
jerk
Rob
about it. That
Liefeld's
was
name. Just say it.
Yeah.
it was not Rob Liefeld.
Was it
But-
Jake Parker? Was it Jake Parker?
I'm not saying anything. Not saying
Oh
anything.
shit!
Does it rhyme
Not
with
saying anything.
smarker?
No,
Nate
it was not Jake
Park-
Parker.
Nate Parker.
He might have had a bad day or something. I don't know what who knows, but maybe he was having just a rough
Oh,
time
man.
that morning or something.
That's funny because I do have an Ian McKeg story. It,
Oh, here we go.
Uh-oh.
it was at like CTN, like I can't remember what year, one of those years. I think the first year I went,
Uh-huh.
and for some reason we just decided to like, hey, let's get shit faced while we're here. We'll just,
Oh gosh.
it's a work trip, right? And so
Yeah.
we wound up getting wasted, getting an Uber by like it seemed like a Russian mobster, all the way to to Santa Monica Beach, and then we came back to Denny's there in Burbank, and we walk in, and we're getting, for some reason we decide to order all the appetizers from the menu.
All right. I like
Eric
this.
Yan was there, so you can vouch for me
Okay.
on this.
Mhm.
But it was funny because guess who's sitting like in the booth across the way? Ian McKay. And so
No way.
of course, me in full drunk mode is like, hey, what's up? And so it's like it's me amplified like 50 times, right?
Mhm.
Maybe 100 times. So I do the whole like get on his shoulder, hey, you're the man. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
So and he was, even though I was like so wasted, he was so kind and didn't like even like
Oh.
sweat it. And I was just like, you know what?
Right.
When I'm sober, I'm gonna really remember this and appreciate how kind he was to this drunk ass.
I'm so
Fucker.
glad that's how the story went because I thought it was gonna be
Yeah.
another Robert McKee one where he bullied you and then showed up after lunch without socks on.
Yeah, that
Oh,
story though. That's Robert McKee, if you're out there and you're listening,
He's
come
not
to
listening
me.
to us.
If
He's
you're
like,
listening, put your socks on.
he's
Put your
watching
socks on.
Chinatown. Yeah, put your socks on. He's watching
Where were your
Chinatown
goddamn
again. That's
socks?
what he's doing.
I love the Stan Lee stories that you hear about at Comic-Con. There's some real interesting ones
I
I've
haven't
Really?
heard any.
I haven't heard any either.
Yeah, like I can't remember which one of my buddies it was, but I had a bunch of friends that still table at San Diego. They'll fly out there
Yeah.
and go. And I remember who it was that told me this, but one time the door opened for the elevator and he was in there with some like super young girl just making out
What?
with her just in
Oh,
the
Yeah.
elevator.
Stan, aren't you married?
Like
Stan?
stuff like that.
Rest in peace,
Like
Stan.
he's super old.
Yeah,
He's
well,
Stan
it's
Lee.
Stan Lee.
And then he's
I was like, good
like
grief.
Excelsior.
It's like
That's
he just lived it up, that guy. There's lots of stories like that. Man.
Yeah.
that's when you know it happened for Stan. Is whenever he yelled Excelsior. It's like,
Everyone needs a catchphrase.
oh my God. Catchphrase like that. Oh man, that's too funny. Now I look at Stan differently now.
Yeah, me too. Damn.
No, come on. You gotta know. He was a creepy old guy. Come on.
I guess I wanted to believe that he wasn't.
Yeah, I think
No,
I did too.
I wanted to be
He
a true
is.
believer, damn it.
Oh man. All you gotta do is get a true believer. All you have to do is look around on the internet a little bit, and you'll discover.
I guess.
I'm sure there's lots of other people
I'm
with stories
sure,
about
yeah.
Stan Lee.
I don't want to look it up. I don't want to look it up.
Ignorance is
Yep.
bliss. You're like the guy in the Matrix that
Yes.
just wants to eat
Oh,
steak.
oh
Yeah.
yes, I'm the one that's gonna betray all of you just so I can hear Stan Lee stories. I don't want to remember nothing. I just watched that last week. I can't watch. I
kinda
can't watch
get
the second and third one anymore.
So, Elisa, what are you doing?
So I am at Light and Wonder.
Oh,
Formerly-
okay.
Yeah, SG, formerly Bally. And yeah, just
That she's the most stable out of all of us.
yeah.
You mean
She's
mentally?
scared to
Or...
jump
Mentally.
Not mentally.
Yes, mentally-
Physically I'm there, but mentally no.
Yeah.
But
She's emotionally the most stable, financially the most stable.
but yeah, I've been there for like 12 years now, so
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's
been
crazy.
fun, but it's like kind of what you were saying at the beginning, with like careers and stuff. It's shockingly stable, and yeah, it's like I do like intern recruitment sometimes, and when I talk to like young people, I'm kind of like it's a huge selling point and I know it's like it's
Mm-hmm.
not cool, like especially all of us, like we know it's not cool art, but it pays the bills, and you have some creative freedom with some things,
Mm-hmm.
but most jobs, I mean, if you're not working for yourself, you are gonna have to adhere to some kind of someone else's vision and stuff like that. So I guess it's not the worst, but yeah.
Well, also,
There's a pretty good art community there too. I found like I actually when I was in Chicago, that was probably one of the best teams that I ever worked with. Like the team that I was there with in Chicago, they were so
Yeah.
good. And when basically, long story short, when I moved to St. Louis, basically I just started getting emails from a guy in Israel being like, I love your artwork. You've got to come make games for me, like whatever. And I was just like, it was like Nigerian president
Yeah.
emails, you know. And I was just like, I'm not gonna talk to you. Like, okay, buddy, like I'm good. And I was really happy there. And then somebody else I used to work with, he hired them, and then that guy reached out to me. He's like, you should listen to this guy. And he's like, you can work wherever you want to work, like do whatever you want to do. And so basically, I was like, well, we just had a baby, like our first
Yeah.
child, and I was like, well, maybe we can move home. And so but it was kind of a tough decision because I really liked, I liked the team up there and all the people I worked with there, and it was really good. Yeah, it was hard.
Oh, was that when you went over to Playtika?
Yeah, and I didn't know what I am shocked that I had no idea. I was like, I don't know how long this is going to last. Like, I had no clue what I was really walking into. But actually, Playtika ended up being like a really great thing and really good thing for me. So
I had applied there, I think in 2015, and they like flew me out for an interview in their Santa Monica location. And
at like Bingo Blitz?
It must have been. Yeah, because it was, I don't know if you ever went to that studio. It was like it was the first time I ever saw like a techie kind of like vibe where it's like everyone worked at one really long table. And I was like, no, I don't like this. Yeah. And I got the job offer, and I was like super ready to move out there, and I was gonna use Playtika as like a stepping stone, as like I'll be in LA, and then I could like network and maybe get into Cartoon Network or something. But I passed on the job because it was gonna be a very lateral move, like what they were willing to pay me, and then living in California, it's so expensive.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yep. Well, that was the thing for me, is like when I was the first artist that they hired to the Playtika team, aside for the guy that was the art director there. But so I was like kind of grandfathered into this work from home thing, and then there was like a few of us that trickled in. We all worked from home, and then they actually started an office in Vegas, and then it kind of became a thing of like, I'm like, they would always tease me like, oh, you're gonna move to Vegas? I'm like, I did that. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't want to move to Vegas. And
those
so
summers are brutal.
like
I'm not about to do that anymore.
I liked Vegas. Okay. Like there's things about Vegas I like. My sister-in-law still lives out there actually. And so we go visit and stuff. And so it's not like we're not out there, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm a Midwest kid, and I enjoyed living in the Midwest. It's so much more. It's more expensive to live in Vegas now than it was when I lived there. Like you guys know.
Yeah.
And so
and the wage stagnation, it's killing me. I became an engineer thinking like, yeah, I'll be all right. It's starting to get to the point where I kind of regret
it. Where you're at, Josh.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
I'm there. I'm not saying nothing.
I was shocked that like even I never thought there would be like a role that I would be able to still be in St. Louis and work at Blizzard either. So like that was a crazy thing too. It's kind of a nutty thing. I mean, I don't think I would not move to Irvine like unless they paid me like an insane amount of money, like because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Like screw that. Like it's so cheap to live in St. Louis. Nobody wants to live here, so it's so easy.
So they're not making you move to Irvine at all, right?
No, I'm. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, but basically, I was approved. I was hired as long-term remote, and so that was part of like my whole deal. And so there were people, in the pandemic, they weren't long-term remote. They just became remote, and then some of them just assumed they would continue to be, and
they had to go back.
Now they're trying to get everybody back in the office, and so it's been like a thing. But I'm in the clear, supposedly.
Cool.
If not, I'll be making games for grandmas again.
That's cool. Oh man.
All right, I think
Oh.
we're
It's time for me to head out.
yeah. We went over, but we started late.
Yeah.
I don't have a clock. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's fine.
We're good.
We're having fun.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. It was nice to meet all of you.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get to chat with you again sometime. Maybe I'll figure out pressure sensitivity.
Right.
You're welcome back anytime. Just let us
Yeah.
know if you have something to if you finally have some creator-owned stuff you want to push, we can help you to our thousands of listeners. Let's
You gotta
manifest it, everyone.
manifest it.
Let's
Yeah,
manifest it, everyone.
manifesting.
I just love meeting new artists, and or I've known some of you, but never really had like a chat
Yeah.
with y'all.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's been cool. It's nice to like actually get to know you, and that's what it's all about. That's how it's all. Art community is like the best part about being an artist is getting to know other artists.
It's funny
so,
that all
super rad.
the artists that I just know and hang out with are just from casino gaming, and
Yeah.
and they're all doing like completely outside of casino gaming style artwork that I love. So I was like,
We all love
it's
that
not all just
stability.
cherries and bells,
Mhm.
everyone. They love that stability.
There's no shame in it.
No
No
shame.
shame.
There's no shame in it. No shame
There's
at
no
all. Yeah.
shame.
I love a good
It's
solid
boring, but there's
stepper
no shame.
game. I love a good
Well, that's-
solid
Oh, it's
stepper
not always
game with some
boring.
shiny sevens.
And that's why if you don't like it, then you just do stuff on your own.
Yeah.
On your own time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always push that. So
Yes.
Yeah.
He's always on my case about
always.
not doing artwork.
What happened to the fish on top of that guy's head?
Yeah, where's that?
I
fish?
erased it because I was.
I was loving that fish.
Bring him back.
Bring him back.
That's as far as it
Damn
goes.
it.
Oh,
Oh,
That's as far as
Damn
it
it,
goes.
magma.
I have to quickly draw the fish.
Oh,
There you go.
There he goes.
That's real
Speed
quick
drawing.
with the
Welcome to
fire.
Speed
Boom.
Drawing with Ryan Bowlin. Today we're drawing a fish.
There There you go.
Boom.
that's awesome.
True testament to his talent.
That's just Sorry, I feel like I brought you no good drawings on this thing tonight, but these are really awesome. I
Good.
especially like this T-Rex. It's really cool.
Oh, thank you.
She's the star of Magma all the time,
Oh,
showing off.
Yeah.
That's why I talk the least, because like I have to draw or I have to
I
talk, and
can't-
I
I
choose to draw.
Yeah, I have to. I can't do.
It's
either
hard-
or.
it's hard to
Yeah,
talk
it's
Oh
really
yeah,
hard.
I rarely draw Magma because usually we started bringing artists on, and that it lets me draw now. But when it was topics that we would discuss, I would have a hard time talking and drawing. So
Yeah,
thankfully,
it's really hard.
thankfully we're changing things up a little.
Yeah.
But now I have to draw.
Well, I enjoyed
Ugh, ugh.
I like it. You get
Yeah,
your
more
drawing out of the
drawing,
way
Brian.
first, and then you can talk.
All right. Well, I will end the stream. Yeah. Thanks for everyone that stopped.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
And all right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.